What's up, guys? Today I want to talk about fear and nerves and anxiety and whatnot, not just on competition, but for anything. I got kind of these wheels turning at the Arnold. I was talking with Bryce Lewis backstage, and Bryce is a really strong guy, and one of the things he told me, or he asked me, is how I deal with nerves. And I guess because Bryce struggles with nerves on meet day. And this is something that's interesting to me. And I think Bryce feels like that has kind of negatively impacted his performance, because he feels like he should be lifting more. I think he just doesn't quite feel comfortable when he's on the platform. And I mean, a lot of us struggle with this, especially at a big meet like this. I mean, there's cameras on you. There's a lot of people watching. It's a big event, and a lot of times we impose pressure on ourselves too. So I'll take that first. I think a lot of people in the fitness industry, when they're getting ready for shows or meets or whatever it may be, there's a lot of self-inflicted pressure. I've had people tell me, I gotta do well at this show. I've made all these posts on Facebook and everybody's watching me. Like, look, look, stop. Not everybody's watching you, all right? Nobody's gonna think more poorly of you if you don't do well, and if you do well. The only case where they would be if you carry yourself very poorly and show poor sportsmanship. Okay. If anybody thought less of me after a poor performance at a meet, but I still carried myself with integrity and character, I don't want that person's support, to be honest with you. Now, obviously, like when you do well, like if you have a business, it can help build your brand, all that kind of stuff. Like I get that kind of pressure, But the people who hate me, they're gonna hate me after I do well, and the people who love me, they're gonna love me after I do crappy. That's just kind of how it is. I mean, of course, everybody wants to make their families proud, make their friends proud, and all that sort of stuff. But if I do everything I possibly can to prepare, if I've done everything I possibly can to prepare, and under no circumstances do I mentally give up, do I mentally quit, if I stay in it to the very end and give it everything I've got, then what do I have to be ashamed of? Nothing. I'm going to control everything I possibly can. I'm going to get at everything I possibly can. And you know what? If it comes together, great. If not, I mean, am I going to be upset? Sure. The USAPL Southeasterns I did in Boca Raton, I won the meet, but I said I had a total far below what I was capable of based on how my training was going, based on a lot of things. I just didn't have my best day. I went 3 for 3 on squats, but I felt really bad. And I mean, 634 or 633 was a complete grinder, whereas I'd smoked 650 at Raw Nationals months before and had even hit 655 in the gym. And then bench press, I had that snafu where the head judge wasn't paying attention, and I had to take it twice, and I missed it, and again, I've talked about that. That was my fault. Now I make sure I make eye contact with the head judge before I go out to lift. And then on deadlifts, had 722 pretty much all the way locked out. It flew out of my hands. So, it was a very frustrating day for me, but I wasn't mad at myself. Were there things I could have done better? Were there things I could have executed a little better? Sure. But preparation-wise, I did everything I could. In terms of staying in there, mentally, I could have, after squats didn't go well, because I really wanted to set the American record squat that day. After squats didn't go well, I could have kind of mentally checked out, and I didn't. I stayed in it, and, you know, should have had that deadlift. And, you know, just bad circumstance, bad luck, whatever you want to call it. But I stayed in there mentally. So that's all you can ask for. So this idea that there's that pressure, most of that is totally self-inflicted. And I used to be guilty of the same thing, you know, putting extra pressure on myself. When I did my first series of natural pro shows, it was so stressful for me, because I'm like, here I am, in my mind, you know, I'm probably one of the most popular natural bodybuilders on the planet. I've never even done a natural pro show. So what happens if I show up and I suck? You know, like here I have all this attention, and it basically could be for no reason. So, you know, there was a lot of pressure on me, but, you know, looking back, it really sapped some of the enjoyment I could have really had out of it. So it's okay to put pressure on yourself, but you have to understand that, like, regardless, the people that matter, people that are important in your life, they are going to love you regardless. And the people who don't love you, who hate you for whatever reason, going out and breaking a record or winning a pro card or winning an overall, that's not going to change their minds. If anything, it's going to make them hate you worse. Okay? So, but getting back to, like, so that's kind of self-inflicted pressure. Now, how do we deal with pressure and nerves? Okay? When I was in high school, I played baseball. I was a good baseball player, definitely not great, but I was okay. I did pretty well, but I never was great, and it wasn't for lack of practice. I probably didn't have the most talent, that's for sure, but I definitely worked hard at it. I was definitely mentally tough in practice, but when it came to games, when I got up to bat, I was more concerned about not striking out. That was my focus. Just don't strike out. Now, I was okay with hitting a hard ground ball and grounding out, or you know, flying out, or whatever it was, but my focus was don't strike out. And when I would get nervous, I used to get butterflies before games. Oh man, when I was in Little League, I'd get butterflies before games. I would try to suppress that. I kept like, stop, I shouldn't feel like this. Stop it. It was completely the wrong way to interpret those feelings. Nerves are normal. Butterflies are normal. They are a good thing. Okay? That is your body readying you for a task. Alright? That is your body putting you in position physiologically and psychologically to do better. Okay? You get in trouble when you perceive that badly. Now, you'll have athletes out there who say, oh, I don't get nervous before games, I don't get nervous before big fights or whatever. Maybe there's a few, but for the most part, people that say that are full of it. Now, I'm not saying they're lying, but what they interpret, what most people interpret as butterflies and nervousness, they interpret as a good thing. They interpret it as, I'm just anxious to go out and do the dang thing. Alright? And that was really the switch from me in high school versus me competing in, say, powerlifting. I like when nerves start to kick in, sure, like, do I like the fact that my stomach churns and, you know, I get kind of sweaty and, you know, no, but I know it's preparing me for what I need to do. I know that it's readying me for the task at hand. And I know that in powerlifting, I can use those nerves. I can use that anxiety, and that can come out. That's a positive thing. That's a good thing. Probably the best thing I ever saw was, I think it was I want to say season 6 of The Ultimate Fighter, and Matt Hughes versus Matt Serra, whatever season that was, long time ago. And one of Matt Serra's fighters was getting, like, not only like sick to his stomach, but like physically ill before the fight, like throwing up. You know, just a mess, you know, because he was so nervous. And he's sitting there, he's hunched over a bucket or whatever, throwing up, and he's like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I can't do this. I can't do this to myself. You know, because he hates the way that feels. And Matt Serra basically said, dude, what are you talking about? That's the feeling of being alive. I love that line. That's one of my favorite lines of probably anything I've ever heard. That's the feeling of being alive. you care about something so much that it causes you to feel that way, okay? Most people never get that, all right? They're never passionate enough about something. They don't care about something enough. They don't have a goal that drives them enough to make them uncomfortable like that. So it's one of those things where you have to perceive it as a good thing, okay? It's going to happen. You are going to have nerves. You are going to have butterflies. You are going to be anxious before a big event. There is no getting around it. But it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Use it. Funnel it. Drive that. Okay? Whenever I hit a lift, I have hit that lift 1,000 times before in my mind. 1,000 times. I have visualized it. I have done it. Okay? Before every meet, and you know, people may think this is stupid, but if I get a chance, I go to the venue the day before. I look at the venue. I get into the rack. I look out. I visualize what it's going to look like when I do that. Okay? I visualize each lift. All right? I visualize myself hitting that lift. What I'm going to do. How I'm going to do it. All right? I truly believe that has made a difference. Now, I can't sit here and say, oh, I'm going to visualize squatting 1,000 pounds and that's going to make that happen. No, of course it's not. But when it comes down to a PR or not a PR, it may be the difference. Okay? So regardless of nerves, I trust that in my training, I'm going to go out and perform and do the things that I do in training. Okay? So I always tell people, I'm just happy to get a chance to go out and show people what I do every day. All right? That's all competition is for me. I'm going to go out and I'm going to show you what I do. I'm going to show you what I'm about. Okay? I'm going to put that on display. That's what competition is. So I still get nerves before training. And one of the things I told Bryce is that he said he's usually a very, very calm person when he trains. He doesn't have any nerves. I have nerves. I get nervous before big training sessions. If I know I'm going in, I'm going to squat, I can't remember the last time I didn't get nervous before squatting or deadlifting. It happens. Bench press, I probably need to get myself more nervous before bench press. But I told him maybe you need to train with more nerves to simulate that condition, to simulate what you're going to be doing. Okay? Because some people will look at me, the fact that I get jacked up during training, the fact that I get nerves during training, and they'll say that's a bad thing. That you should train calm, and then on meet day, you'll get that extra boost. Some people are like that. I look at it as an advantage that I train with nerves, because I'm training that skill. I'm training that specific skill. Okay? I've had a couple coaches remark to me. I think Mike Zordos said to me, forgive me if I'm quoting you wrong, Mike, but he said, I've never seen anybody get as much out of a psych up as Lane does. And Paul, he's like, man, I've never seen anybody that can go from 0 to 100 like that. He's like, I mean, I'll be standing around joking with somebody backstage, and then in 60 seconds, I am ready to go. I am laser focused, and I'm ready to go. And then Ben gave me a great compliment on last Arnold. He said, nobody shows up on meet day quite like you do, or on game day, he said. And that's one of those things. But I view that as that's not by accident. That's because I've trained that way. That's because when I go into the gym, every day is a competition for me. I'm competing against myself. Okay, every day is a competition. So I have nerves every day. But I've learned how to handle those better. I've learned how to prepare for those better, and I've learned how to utilize them to my best extent. Even before like school tests, I used to get nervous, and that used to feel sick to my stomach. But I finally, again, I learned that that's a good thing. Like, I'm going to be hyper alert when I'm taking that test. I used to, I mean, this is obviously, you can't do this now because of all the technology, but back in the day I used to just put on headphones and a Walkman and listen to heavy metal when I was taking a test, just the same music I listened to when I was in the gym, because it was making me focused. Okay, I was focusing. And I think that can make all the difference. So when you have those nerves, when you have that anxiety, that is a good thing. It's a good thing. That is the feeling of being alive. Embrace it, use it, dominate. Catch you guys next time.